Hi, everybody. This is Bob Ross, and I'm going to teach you some art today. I'm just kidding. It's me, Miss Hope. I'm just dressed up like Bob Ross for Halloween. I'm even wearing my Bob Ross t shirt. You guys know who Bob Ross is? If you do, that's good. But if you don't, then I want you to learn about who Bob Ross is today. So we're going to talk about him just for a minute. He was an artist who painted on a TV station called PBS, and he painted for free. He didn't sell his work. He just loved to paint, and he did landscape paintings. Now, a landscape painting is a painting of something outside of the land. That's why it's called a landscape. Okay? So if it were of the ocean or the water, it would be called a seascape. And if it were of the a sky, it would be the skyscape, or a cityscape would be of the city line of buildings and things like that up against the night sky or the day sky or whatever. But a landscape is just of the land. So he concentrated on things like mountains and waterfalls and outside like country scenes and sunsets and storm clouds too, winter scenes. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. And I've included a few pictures of his work so that you guys can see what he looked like and some of the stuff that he did. And if you ever get a chance to watch him on TV, he's got his own channel, the Bob Ross channel. And you can look it up or you can watch him on YouTube. And his videos are incredible. And but that's for like advanced oil painting, which we're not going to do in school here today. But I'm going to work on some landscape with you guys, just introducing you to some basic technique and structure of how to make a landscape look right on paper. And we're going to work on that together. I'm going to take this off because this is hot and I've been dressed up like Bob Ross all morning. So I'm going to take this off in a minute. But you need a piece of paper and a pencil, and you need some stuff to color with. You need colored pencils, you need markers, crayons. If you have watercolors, you can use those too, or you can just use simple things today. That's fine. And like I said, if you get a chance, definitely try to watch an episode of Bob Ross painting on TV because it's really amazing. It's a little bit, it's very, very calm. So it could feel like it's a little bit boring, but you want to watch it from the beginning to the end to see how he really paints on the canvas. And it's a great way to learn how to paint with oils when you guys get a little bit older. You can follow along with him as he teaches it, or hopefully that's something that we can do in school someday. But for today, we're just going to work simple landscape on white piece of paper. So meet me over here on the overhead, and here we go. Okay, so when we're looking at our paper, paper could either be held portrait style like this, okay, or landscape. Landscape just means that it's wider horizontally. Portrait means that it's longer portrait style, okay? So you'd be doing like a face. You could do a landscape scene like this. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to turn our paper around in the landscape style, okay? And we're going to leave it right like that. I'm going to zoom in here for you guys in just a second so that way you could look up close at what I'm doing. And you need a pencil to start off because what we're going to be doing is just lightly sketching out a landscape scene. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think about things that you see outside. You can even go outside if you want to, because that would be a great way to actually get some inspiration and get a good idea of what you want to draw. Artists do this all the time. Okay, when you go outside, I just zoomed in a little bit here for you. When you go outside and paint, it's called in French plein air, Pleinaire, I think it is. And it means you're painting outside in the plain air, just you're outside in the open atmosphere and you're looking around at what's around you and you're choosing a spot that you really want to focus in on and paint. Okay, so you can take your sketch pad or your paper outside if you have a clipboard or something like a hard big book that you can go draw on as long as you have permission to use it. That's fine. You can go outside and find somewhere area of your backyard or your front yard, wherever you may wander and sit down and just take a little bit of time to look at what you're drawing and then really think about the shapes that you see, because shapes are part of everything we draw. Okay? By the time we color it and fill it in or paint it, they don't look like shapes so much anymore, but everything can kind of be broken down into shapes. Okay? So like mountains, for example, mountains might look like triangles, right? The sun you might draw that as a what? A circle, right? Water would be wavy lines. they're still shapes, they're just wavy. They're called organic shapes. Okay, clouds the same thing. You would be making big puffy clouds if you wanted to do it like that, and you'd be making, it's called an organic shape. Okay, so think about how you draw right now, what your style of drawing is, and how you like to draw things, and think about the shapes that you use to make the pictures on your paper. Okay, I don't want you guys to worry about making it look real right now, because you know what, I don't know what kind of supplies you have at home. You may have paint, you may not, but I'm not sure, so I'm gonna keep it simple for everybody. And if you wanted to turn your drawing into a painting, you could do that. Okay, so you can show that to me if you'd like. If you'd rather paint, you can do that. And we'll get into a little bit more advanced stuff like that when we're together in person. But today we're just gonna work on drawing the basics of a landscape. So I'm going to teach you guys about foreground, middle ground, and background. Okay? Those are big terms, right? But you don't have to remember them right this minute. But I want you to understand that foreground is whatever's in front. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw. This is the foreground right here. Okay? This right here, where the horizon line is, this is called the horizon line, is my middle ground. And this back here, I'm going to put mountains. This is my background. So when you look at this, whatever's in the front is called your foreground. Whatever is in this middle section of the paper is called your middle ground. And then whatever's back here is your background. Okay? Foreground, middle ground, background. Okay? And so we're just going to start off with something. So all I did was I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lines. That's all I did. And that's all that I need in order to start my landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that I have maybe some water right here, or maybe I can make this grass and this could be water, and these are the mountains and this is the sky. So that's what I'm going to focus on that. But I'm gonna do this a little differently today, because I think this will be a fun way for you guys at home to join me. And we are going to divide these sections up into patterns. So here's how you do this. A pattern is something that repeats over and over, right? It could be dots, it could be dashes, it could be circles, it could be lines, it could be a pattern of colors, like a rainbow is a pattern, right? Using all the colors of the Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And what we're going to do is we're going to think about how to divide these up into patterns and colors. So I'm going to start actually with my mountains, because I know I want my mountains to be purple. So I'm going to make a pattern for my mountains. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this real simple. And I'm going to do these just lines for my mountains. These are vertical lines. That means vertical goes up and down. So everything in here is going to be purple of some sort. And then over here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to create lines. I'm not even going to be bothered if they're super straight. One of the things I love about Bob Ross, I watched him growing up as a kid. He was alive. He's not alive anymore. He died back in April of 1995. He was actually born October 29th, so that was yesterday, would have been his birthday. When I used to watch him as a kid, I just was amazed at the way that he would do color, and the way that he could just make his paintbrush do these amazing things on canvas. But here's what I love even more about Bob Ross. Bob Ross talks about how you shouldn't be too concerned with making mistakes on your painting or your canvas or your drawing, because mistakes can turn into, he called them happy little accidents. And sometimes he would turn his happy little accident into a happy little tree, or a happy little cloud, or a happy little bird, or a happy little mountain, or something like that. But he always used happy, and he always kind of laughed at himself. He didn't take himself so seriously. And I'm telling you guys, he was one of the best artists, best landscape painters that I've ever seen. And he just didn't take himself too seriously. He didn't get concerned with, he may have made some mistakes. So what? You turn them into other things. And I want you guys to think about that, and think about, some of us really don't like making mistakes. We get upset when we make mistakes. But that's going to happen sometimes in life, and you can't always crumple up your paper and throw it away. Sometimes you have to deal with it and look at it and change it into something else, or just accept that it's there. So on your paper today, maybe you might make a mistake somewhere. If you do, I want you to leave it. Okay, if you accidentally use the wrong color, if you were supposed to make this purple and you used green instead, and you're like, oh man, that wasn't supposed to, I didn't want it to be purple, I didn't want it to be green, I wanted it to be purple. I want you to leave that mistake. Okay, just as a reminder that mistakes are part of life, and sometimes mistakes they turn out to be okay. All right? So I'm going to purposely put a mistake in here somewhere, but I'm not sure where yet. Back here in my sky, I'm going to leave that blank for now because I'm not sure what I want to do to that. I might leave that pattern not as a pattern, but just as a block of color. And so I think I'm going to make this my water. Okay, I think I'm going to make my water meet the mountains, and then this is going to be land right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine what I would like the shape of water to look like in my painting, my drawing. It's not really going to be a painting. So I'm going to imagine waves, even though these don't really look like waves. I'm using wavy lines to create. I'm going to go up here and make a little bit more detail. I want these waves, and yep, there we go. I made a mistake. That's okay. I'm going to leave it. Actually, I kind of like, oh, I made another mistake. I like the way it looks, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Miss Hope makes mistakes all the time. Well, not necessarily all the time, but I make mistakes, guys. Here's my wavy lines for the water. Okay. Okay, so that's my water now. And here's going to be my grass. So again, I'm not really sure what I want to do yet with my grass. So I'm going to leave that alone right now, and I'm going to start with what I know I want to do. So I've got markers today. I'm going to take 2 different shades of purple and maybe a third shade if I could find it, if I like something. But I'm not going to be too concerned with coloring it all in. I might want to just go over my lines. I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to copy over my lines with my marker. The point of this project is to really just think about patterns and color. And obviously how to create a landscape using foreground, middle ground, and background. Okay, and so now I'm going to go back over that mountain line like this. Okay, now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Trace my lines. You don't have to do what I'm doing. I want you to do your own idea. And if you don't know yet, then that's okay. You can always practice and follow along with what I do. But I want you to create something that's yours. Something that expresses you, your surroundings right now. Where you're looking at, what you're looking at. I might come back up there in a little bit and do something different to my pattern. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to take, I like blue, and I also like dark green for water. I'm going to mix those two, I'm going to mix those 2 colors up into my picture. Hold on, I'm trying to get my cat. Okay. Because when you look at the water, it's kind of bluish green, right? Sometimes, depends on where you are. I'm going to just switch up these colors a little bit and mix them around. I've already made a bunch of mistakes. And I'm just going to leave them. I'm not going to be concerned too much. But while I'm going here, I'm thinking about what my next step is in my pattern landscape. Okay, I don't want to end off on green. I want to end off on blue, I think. So let's see here. Okay, good. All right, I like the way that looks. And my grass area here, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this in a light green. I'm not sure how this is going to... Oh yeah, nice. And I think what I'm going to do for this is I think I'm going to do... You know what? I'm going to do cross-hatching. So cross-hatching, let's work on cross-hatching, are diagonal lines, and they're going to crisscross other lines. So in a minute, see how I'm working on a diagonal here. So I would say, if you're still watching and you haven't started yet, I want you to think about how to take your paper and divide it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 4 or 5 sections, with the front part being your foreground, what's up in front of you, this part being your middle ground, what you see kind of in the near distance, and this part back here is what you see in the far off distance. So that's going to be the part that's closest to the sky. The middle is the middle, so whatever's in the middle is the middle, and then whatever's in front is what you see the closest. Okay? All right, cross-hatching. So what I'm going to do now is I'm turning my paper over so I don't have to twist my wrist to show you. But now I'm crossing over those diagonal lines with new diagonal lines, which creates this crisscross or checkered pattern. This is how you make checkered patterns. This is how you do a checkerboard. We are making a checkerboard. This is one way of doing it. Okay. So now we've got this checkered crisscross pattern down here. I might do something else to it. I'm not really sure. And then now I've got to deal with the sky here. I'm going to go up here and deal with my sky. I'm looking for a different color. So maybe this, like, I've got this nice light green. I might save that for the water. I might do something with the water. And I think I might just, let's see. Let's do some light sky blue. And what I'm going to do up here is I'm just going to do these wispy lines. Just like that. Just giving a little bit of color to the sky. I don't know if I like it. I might fill it in with a different color or go over it in a minute. I'm not sure. I'm just going to add a little bit more color to it. I got these wispy little lines here. Don't forget that little corner. Okay, cool. Now, all right, so now just for some contrast, I'm going to look at these mountains right here. I'm going to take a different color, and I'm going to take this magenta, and I'm going to, now I'm going to create a series of dots. And it's a little bit time consuming. That means it's going to take you a few minutes extra to do something like this, but it's worth it because it adds a lot of cool texture and pattern to your drawing. And what's good about the markers is you just put a little pressure there and a nice big fat dot appears. And it breaks up all that white in the middle without having to sit here and color. It's a good way to add color to it. What do you think about what's right for you, what you like? You have a whole week to do this, so you don't have to rush. Okay, that's one side. And then I'm going to go ahead and follow along on the other side, but I wanted to just give you guys an idea of how to start that off, okay? And so you get to decide how you want to create your patterns. And then go from there, okay? All right, and when you're done with your patterns and your landscape, I want you to send it to me and let me see what you did. Okay, I'm also going to include some written instructions in the Google Classroom and in the Schoology site, so that way you can read the instructions and look at some pictures that I've included of Bob Ross. And I'm also going to include maybe some examples of pattern, landscape, just a little bit, a few more things so that you guys can see. Super simple. I just want you to practice pattern, landscape. Okay? All right. There you have it. We're all done with this for now. It's very simple, but it's cool because you get to really experiment on your paper here. All right? So send it in. Have a great day. Happy Halloween to those of you who like to celebrate Halloween. Be safe out there, and see you next week. Bye. Thanks for watching.